And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell and make sure to like and comment and give me some feedback. I would definitely love to hear from you. So today our topic is forgiveness. In thinking about forgiveness, I think a lot of times we think forgiveness is about just pretending it never happened and go on throughout the day and nothing to see here, crowd. Just keep it moving. Meanwhile, you are still hurting, the situation still sucks, and the person is still walking around acting like they have no regard for what they've done. That's not exactly what I meant. When I think of forgiveness, and I have to say that these are lessons that I've learned over my 50 years and, probably my last 20, 30 years as, just navigating through life and all. And one thing I've learned is that to forgive a person, you have to just give them to God. You just have to be done with it. And I remember a time, without really going into a lot of detail, but I remember a time where I was friends with someone and I had trusted them to keep their word and she did not. And this was during a time where there was already situations happening. I was really going through some situations dealing with this person, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I just have to help this person to see. And that had always been one of my failings, always wanting to, like, oh, this is what happened, and then on that day that happened, and then when you look on here and see, here's the fact. Well, the fact of the matter is, Scripture says it and I believe it. The truth is easy to see. If people want to believe it, they believe it. If they don't, they don't. So why am I going out of my way? I apply that to myself. It's like, why go out of my way trying to force someone to see something that's my perspective? So anyway, it's during this time that I can recall just processing the truth about this person and their relationship with me, and it was not pretty. And I have hopefully you all do too. You have that intimate circle of friends, right, where you can share your heart and they'll pray with you and kind of pull you off that ledge. And so a friend of mine was like, really helping me process this thing. And as I told you, as a woman of faith, y'all excuse my little beads, the Lord really impressed in my heart, just give her to me. And the forgive her to me was the part that really released me from feeling like I had to show or prove or do anything. And and then realizing that all I had to do was just give this over to God. I didn't have to carry that weight anymore. And what does that mean? I can tell you from example, it's one of those things where you feel like, okay, this person has done this. I know how I feel about this, but I'm not inside of this person's mind. So I'm not sure how they even perceive themselves and what they were doing. But I know, in setting healthy boundaries, that this has gone too far for me, right? And I'm not going to let what they did control me. That's a big one. See, in our unforgiveness, we give up our control. We give up our peace, but we also give up the ability to manage our own emotions because it's so raw that, you ever hurt yourself or maybe skin your knee or and even the wind makes it hurt. That's kind of how it is when we're walking around with this unforgiveness. Any little thing can set us off. And I'm telling you, when you give it over to God and you realize, what, God, you hear me, you understand me, we right here, right, Lord, you know what happened, and so you don't have to walk around feeling overwhelmed trying to prove a point to someone who may or may not get the point. But it's not up to you to force the point. You see what I'm saying? You know what happened, you know the truth, and you just walk in the peace of God. And so therefore there were plenty of times during this season where this person who was so used to me being a person that they could manipulate, they could always push my buttons. And then I realized I shouldn't have so many buttons. I shouldn't be so easily uh, pushed here and there. And so what if people say stuff about me? I'm telling you the truth. Who believes something about you, it's because they already believed it. And so it's really doing you a favor. It may hurt, trust me, I know, but you move on. And that leaves the door open, that leaves space for other wonderful people to come into your life. And I can attest to that. So, in giving that person over to God, forgive them to God, you don't have to fight that battle. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to feel some kind of way because it's not about you anyway. It's not about you getting your feelings hurt because you already know the truth. So then why are your feelings hurt? Why are you feeling like you need to defend yourself when you already know what you did and what you didn't do? So you move on. And so that's, in situations, obviously, I'm speaking about when someone has offended you or have done you wrong or lied on you or discredit you. The whole point is, and again, I'm bringing Christ in it because that's how I flow, no weapon formed against you will prosper. And every tongue that rises against you, you will condemn. And that is what God has allowed for us as his children, as his sons and daughters, that we don't have to worry so much about all that. And so when giving them to God, God will deal with it. And sometimes, truth be told, sometimes people are only reacting and living in what they know. We don't know how everyone was raised. We weren't raised with everyone. You get what I'm saying? And we don't know what their background is. And sometimes life situations that are so out of their control may really color how they operate in the world. Doesn't make it right, does not make it right, does not make it feel good, but it does take the responsibility off of us to feel like I have to prove something. The other thing that I have learned is, well, I guess it follows along with the same point, is you gotta let go. You cannot hold on to that situation. Now, when I say let go, I mean letting go of, and I hope I know how this is going to sound, so just walk with me for a second. Stop trying to cover the situation. So sometimes we go from one extreme to the next. The first extreme, you just want to tell everybody about it, which is totally not cool. That's not the way we should go at all. But then sometimes we can come from a place of those of us who've had that, the background, trauma background, situations happening. And we go to the extreme where we're trying to cover everything. Oh, no, that didn't happen. Oh, no, they didn't mean to do that. Yeah, they did. They did what they did. And they meant that thing. But we want to cover that up. And what happens is while we are doing that, sometimes we feel like, oh, I'm such a good person. I've done the right thing. We haven't dealt with the situation. And so in that place of unforgiveness, now we're the martyr. Now we have put ourselves up and out there. And so now, we're going to cover them, and love covers a multitude of sins. Not you, sis, brother, not us. But we can love a person and we can pray for them and we can move on. If it's that type of situation. There's some situations where moving on means can't be what we were before, and sometimes moving on means I'm not going to keep digging this up. It depends on the relationship, because there are some things that you have to let go of, but to you and your family, your well-being, some things just don't belong with you. And if it's something where you have to let go of, maybe it's your ego, maybe it's you that just can't process what happened, and you've been holding on to unforgiveness because you can't deal with the fact of what you did in this, you get what I'm saying? That's what I mean when I say letting go. Not standing there trying so hard to prove a point over and over again. Hey, it is what it is. And so in giving them to God, you also learn to let it go. Let go, move on. And therefore, you're not picking it back up. Everybody doesn't need to know your side of the story. I think by now, most people know there's many sides to the story because perspective is everything, right? But everybody doesn't need to know your side of the story. They don't need to hear how you've been wronged. They don't need to know how someone betrayed you and stabbed you in the back. We're not middle school anymore. Sorry. It's not cute. It's not fun. And just as a heads up, this goes into my last point. When we allow unforgiveness to sit with us so long that we become bitter, we pretty much become the very thing that we didn't like about the situation or even that person because we're busy trying to one up the person. No, maybe not you. Maybe it's just me and other human beings that I know. But let me tell you, if you find yourself in that situation, you're texting the situation, screenshot and sending the situation, recording the situation, telling people about the situation, you may as well stop because you are heading to a dead end. It's not going anywhere. And you'll find out that you're steadily talking, telling the story, and people may listen, yeah, chat, but in the back, they're probably saying, well, what kind of mess is this? And be careful, because sometimes those very ones are also wondering, well, I thought this person and that person were good friends. If she'll treat that person that way, if he'll treat that person that way, how would he treat me? Meanwhile, you're busy trying to get back at somebody else because of some stuff, right? And so, so for my third point, again, you gotta, not only do you have to give them to God and let stuff go, at the same time, you gotta use that as your stepping stone to your next place. And what I mean by that is, let it motivate you to do better. Because this is a hard truth now. Sometimes, the very thing that you don't like in somebody else is a reflection of what's in you. I'm just saying, could be. Don't come after me. You wouldn't want to do that anyway, but sometimes we have to look at ourselves and find out, where do I play a part in this? What am I, and it's not, I'm not saying when people are straight off wrong. I'm not saying you're dealing, I'm not talking about those extreme situations. I call it, I'm not talking about the situations where this is not good. I'm not talking about toxic situations, to get out of those immediately. I'm not talking about dealing with narcissistic people, you already know, to cut out early. I'm talking about interactions with your friends and with your family and with your loved ones. I'm even talking about dealing with people in traffic, okay? I'm talking about our day-to-day life. And we cannot survive in our world, in this world. Every time someone says something, our adrenaline is up and we're in fight or flight mode, and now we're going to tell somebody about themselves. No, child, save your neck and your nails. Save your attitude and all this frustration, and have several seats and think about, okay, well, what can I do? Because that wasn't a good situation, but what can I do to have a good situation from here? Where can I, where can I elevate and move forward? I'm telling you, I've had situations where people have asked me for help and then turned around and got mad at me because I was helping them. And so you can't read people's minds. You don't know what they want in every single situation, and sometimes what they want you cannot give them. But there are those who will get very frustrated, and that's their own stuff. You let them have their stuff. But what you don't do is let someone else's negativity cause you to return negativity. Exchanging energy, no ma'am, no sir. We're going to be bigger than that. We're not going to let people push our buttons, and we're not going to hold on to unforgiveness to the point that we can't function in our own authentic selves. And yeah, you can get mad and whatever, have a moment, but then you move forward. You let it go. You elevate from that point to your next place. Sometimes I have found my greatest motivation is when I'm dealing in these types of situations, because there's nothing I can do about what they're doing, but there's a lot that I can do about what I'm doing. And so it forces me to go back to my to-do list. What can I focus on? Yesterday I preached on in Philippians about, thinking on things that are good, praiseworthy, of good report. That's it for me. What else can I think about? Because I can't change what the situation is doing right now. Getting mad about it is not going to do anything. Arguing about it, and like I told y'all, I'm 50. I don't have the time or the mind or the energy, and I'm not trying to break any nails, getting into a whole bunch of, but I can, of course you can handle it if you have to, but why should you have to? Just saying. I mean, you don't need to get into those types of situations for yourself, for your own well-being, for your own peace of mind. There's some things that you have to call it a day and move on. And there are some things you just have to say, okay, well, this is how this person is. Can I deal with that? Am I willing to be in that type of situation? That's for you to choose. But the bottom line is, what you cannot do is allow this to make you bitter. Just move forward in your life and do the best that you can, and just try to be the light that you would have wanted someone else to be for you, right? That light, you begin to invite much more love and kind and caring and compassionate people into your life, because you will draw to you those types of people. And that's what you're going to want, because that's what you're going to give out, and that's what, don't let someone else's negativity pull you down. You rise up and you start doing better for yourself and for those around you. And sometimes the best you can do is just be consistent and show kindness, even if they don't, air quote, deserve it. Be kind, be consistent, manage your emotions. And if that means you can only spend snippets of time with them, do so. But you do it with the full control of maintaining your joy and holding on to your peace and walking in your power. So let me know your thoughts. Always leave me comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I will chat with you soon. Don't forget, it's all about Christ. No cliches, just keeping it real. Have a good day.